So this presentation is being presented by College Depot. So College Depot is a free college access center here in downtown Phoenix at the Burton Bar Library. So we really help with all parts of college planning, financial aid, scholarships, whatever questions you have. And we just promote secondary education. So if you also are looking for an apprenticeship or trade school or anything like that, we'll definitely help you. Um, so if you do want to request an appointment or give us a call, the contact information is here for you all. So this is just the topic. So we're going to be presenting about the test prep for the ACT and the SAT. It's going to be presented by me. My name is Alicia Hernandez, and I work with College Depot. I graduated from ASU in the fall, and I'll also be presenting with Dominique DeRose, and I'll let her introduce herself really quickly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dominique. I'm also one of the advisors here at College Depot. I graduated with my undergrad from ASU, so go Sun Devils, and then I recently graduated with my master's from NAU, so I kind of know the best of both worlds. So if you ever have any questions about that, like Alicia said, we're always here, free resource, free access for appointments one-on-one, or just stick around afterwards if you have any other questions. We'd be happy to help you.
Thank you. So we're going to be talking about the ACT and the SAT, which are college entrance exams. They're standardized tests. So it really is essentially a piece of your portfolio for college applications and admissions. And it is used by colleges to help get an overall view of you, as well as like an entire perspective of you as a student. And we do want to mention that not all schools require you to take a test. So if you do have like testing anxiety or if you don't do as good as you like, you don't necessarily need to. But um, we do recommend for you to take the test, and we'll go into that right now. If you are interested in liberal arts schools or want to dive into that during your college experience, 85% of the liberal arts schools do not require it, so they are test optional. So kind of going back into that and why we want you to take the test, even though they're optional, they're used for scholarships as well as an overall look at you as a student. So even if the school says test optional, if you did good on the test, it could just help you and better your chance of getting into the schools. And it does help also with getting into programs, internships, honor colleges, things of that sort do require the test. Also, just to touch highly on merit-based scholarships. So merit-based scholarships are based on your academic performance, which means your GPA and your test scores. So the higher your GPA, the higher scholarships you get, the higher your test scores, the more scholarships you get. So we definitely do recommend that for that, especially if you don't qualify for Pell Grants or you don't get any need-based scholarships, you definitely want to look at merit-based scholarships. So we're going to talk a little about when you should take the ACT and the SAT. So typically it is during the spring of your junior year. It doesn't have to be, you could take it before or after or make it up afterwards. Um, so if you're part of the Phoenix Union District, you will be taking it district-wide on March 21st. So this is perfect time for you to get to know a little more about the test and prep for that. And you typically do get your results for the SAT within 3 weeks, and the colleges receive it 10 days after you take it. And for the ACT, you get your results back in 10 days and the colleges receive it a week after. So here are some of the SAT test dates. The dates typically start in the spring and there's at least a month in between, so you could plan to retake and you have enough time to study as well if you do want to study in between. And this is like the same table for the ACT. If you just want to take a look at that. So now we're going to dive into the differences between the SAT and the ACT. Those are like the most common questions that we get. Um, so you can really find out which one is the best for you by taking the pretest, looking at the results, seeing which one you did best on, where you can study a little bit more. And so some things that we do want to highlight is the ACT is at a faster pace. So it does have more questions and it is less time. The SAT is a total of 1,600 points, and that is the points added together for the reading and writing component together, and then the math together. The math technically has two different parts, one part where you're not allowed a calculator, and then another part where you are. And then for the ACT, for every section, reading, English, math, and science, you're scored based 1 through 36, and then your average score, well, your final score is an average of those 4 sections, so you could score anywhere between a 1 to a 36. And going back to that, the ACT is a little bit shorter. It's 175 minutes, and the SAT is 180. The ACT has more questions. It has 215 questions, while the SAT has 154. The ACT, the questions are a little more straightforward. So they're shorter, they don't really need that much analysis, while the SAT, it requires more time to understand them and answer those questions. And for the ACT, you are permitted the calculator for the entire test. And then for the SAT, you're only permitted the calculator for one section and you can't use it for the other section. And then talking about science, the ACT, it does use critical thinking skills, while the SAT, you need prior knowledge to that. So I ask a lot of background questions, things that you should already know. And this is just some information on how to register for the test. So the SAT is $60. They did discontinue the essay, so it used to be a little more if you took it with the essay, but they no longer do that. And you register at the College Board, collegeboard.com. The ACT is $66 or $91 with the essay, and you can register at act.org. Also, we do want to highlight that make sure that you're on the official sites. There could be scams or other sites that might look official, so just make sure that you're on these websites and not other websites. And before you do register, make sure that you speak to your counselor. A lot of students who do receive free and reduced lunch, and they can qualify for 2 free tests, so you can take it 1 free time and retake it. And you can also not pay anything if you get that waiver from your counselor. So just make sure that you are communicating with your counselor.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So my name is Dominique again. I'm going to transition over now to the resources, especially the free resources, because there's so many different things out there to help you study and to be successful for your upcoming exam or exams. So to start off, the SAT is run by College Board, which Alicia was talking through, right? So we provide some hyperlinks too. So another thing, if you'd like any of this information afterwards, presentation, we can send to you to have these easy navigation. But College Board has a great readiness program in which you can take the practice exams just at your fingertips at the comfort of your home. So that's a really great resource. They also have so many different visuals up to videos, different maybe webinars that were pre-recorded. So definitely browse all of your free resources. That's a great one. You can't go wrong because it is College Board. SAT Prep by Khan Academy. I know this is a very popular one. I quite honestly really favored this just because I like the best of both, a visual component and a written. So Khan Academy has so many videos free of access for you to dive into a little bit further, specifically too on certain test points, like if you are needing more help with math versus maybe, the reading component. So just definitely a great resource to browse through, free of cost again too. Any type of preparation booklet that you can obtain from the SAT source itself through College Board is also so great to utilize as well. And for those of you that may have taken the PSAT, that fourth resource, the My College Quick Start, is fabulous for that, but that really only is tailored to those that had taken the PSAT previously. But if you had, then that's something that you're able to access free online as well, as far as a planning kit they have for you to walk step by step and follow within a timeline for that. You can always reference different majors, college matches, what their score reports are to better help understand maybe the place in which you need to prepare yourself for studying wise, and kind of compare the scores to and help prepare for success. Number two, I actually favored this as well, and it's a free online resource. You can actually, again, look through visuals. You can take online tests as well, and the length is pretty much the same as the actual SAT test would be too, because they really want to take it, as serious and as timely as it would be too, as far as how many minutes you have. And the nice thing as far as number two also is that you can log in and complete a question of the day, which I thought was so cool. So the questions vary every day. Yes, you can log on and you can answer the multiple choice right then and there. So that's just another fun, quick way to access a free resource to really help you out with some of these rigorous questions that may be on the SAT. Please note too, for any students, any families who may have a learning disability, absolutely, College Board makes accommodations for students to be able to take the test. Please just reach out to the SSD, the Services for Students with Disabilities, to inquire about more specific information. Just to note as well, this process can take up to about 7 weeks in duration, so really just to have this game plan set in stone, which needs to happen before you go day of the test to complete that. But please know that that is an option for you. Okay, so moving into the ACT prep. So these are some other free resources we'll first talk about, but then again, as you can see a little bit further on, there are other resources that you can purchase on your own if you so please. The ACT website is wonderful. There's specifically a tab that you'll see on there entitled Test Prep that you can click and browse. Same thing, it's going to have a wide variety of resources free for you initially, so you can reference certain visuals, webinars, online tests as well too that you can do right then and there, or print out as well too. Please note that on their website, the further you go down, there are some other resources that you do have to purchase on your own. So just distinguish the two from the free resources to the ones that start at a price. But second to that, there's an ACT Academy, which there are a few free resources there. Others you may have to pay a price to offer a subscription for certain test prep essentials, but they have an online practice tool that includes video lessons, interactive practice questions, and you have one-on-one support from someone there as well. Again, they're full-length practice tests, so it's really going to help you in your endeavors and when it does come time to take the test. And even some fun educational games just to keep your mindset ready to go within the different realms in which the test will cover, but something of a little more fun, a little more ease for you. So Another great resource. Again, just a few other pinpoints. The questions of the day are both for the ACT and the SAT, study guides as well throughout the ACT website, and different webinars for you to really test your knowledge and absorb everything you can. Number two as well does apply to the ACT as well. So feel free to utilize their full-length practice test, their questions of the day. Feel free to interact with some of their experts that they have on hand to help with you throughout the website, and just other links that you can find for online practice tests free of cost. The only other ones referenced on the bottom are, of course, the prep guides, the prep books that you can purchase. They're generally on Amazon. You can go through the ACT website directly, but they're also on Amazon as well, up to date for the correct year, of course, too. Another source to add as well, just food for thought, in relation to books. I know that sometimes you may be able to find used books, books that were already owned by someone. So that being said, maybe the book may have some text or some highlights in there from a previous student who had utilized that from their studies. But that's also, more of an inexpensive way for you to prepare for the test as well. If you're someone that really does like a book in hand, to really reference something physical and not really so set on the computer, because again, the test will be pencil and paper. So it is a little bit different from some of these free resources digitally. So that's something to keep in mind as well too. But other than that, on the next slide, we'll just talk through some ACT and SAT strategies as far as timing tricks. So as we discussed previously, the ACT and the SAT are going to vary as far as how many questions are in each. So with the ACT, you're going to have quite a bit, right? As you can see, 215 questions that are separated into different increments of, math, science, reading, versus the SAT at 154 questions. So one trick that you can see on the screen is just to get the easier questions right and difficult questions wrong quickly. By that, we mean that for every wrong answer that you receive on the test, that's not going to hinder you in any way. It's really based on a point system that only adds, it does not subtract. So in other words, if you get a question wrong, it doesn't count against you. So it's probably better to recognize those difficult questions. Guess, because you've got, maybe a 25% chance if you've got 4 different answer opportunities, and live to fight another day, right? So it's a sacrifice to succeed. So always answer the questions, don't leave any of them blank. But if you are on a chunk of time and a squeeze for time, then definitely try to get those easier questions first, and just use your best judgment to guess on the difficult questions, because you never know, that could add up so easily too. So ask yourself the question, is this something that I can answer now, or is this something that I can answer later? Again, if an answer seems too obvious as well, it in most cases may be incorrect. The SAT and the ACT masters, they really like to trick students and test your knowledge. So sometimes they may have some questions and answers that may look super, super easy. So just take a second, take a breath, see what you think is best, go with your gut, and just move forward with that. So that being said, on the next slide, there are strategies as far as bubbling in the blocks. So as you can see on the right, this is pretty much what the Scantron will look like, right? It's going to be a physical paper that you actually have to go shade in and bubble the answers as far as A, B, C, or D. So what we recommend, or what one of the recommendations is from test masters, is to answer the questions in blocks of 10. And then what you can do is transfer those answers to the bubble sheet. That being said, you can mark up the test pamphlet as much as you'd like. So maybe as you're reading through the test, circle your answers within the pamphlet, so that way you know which answers are for what in increments of 10, and then transfer that onto your bubble sheet. It's been said that it saves about 8 seconds on each of the transfers, so that may allow you enough time to answer as many as 2 more questions. So that's one other strategy to utilize. reserve the last couple of minutes of your exam, if you so have, to check that all of the bubbles are really shaded in. They do get very nitpicky, and the Scantron has to read bubbles that are completely shaded in, that don't go outside the circle. So really just make sure that you are filling it in correctly. Another strategy on this slide is using a process of elimination. So usually a lot of these answers will look just like this. There'll be multiple choice with about 4 answers or so. So incorrect answers may be easy to spot and eliminate. So this one, for example, what is the capital of Malawi? As we know, and as we can click in the next slides to start Xing and circling them out, New York. I think we know that that is definitely not the capital of Malawi. Same thing if I'm thinking and reading this, Paris, see, that's also an easy answer that we can eliminate from the answer choices. So then at that point, it makes it a little bit easier for you. And this may already be a technique that most of you have been using in your high school career. So then you're left with B and D. So then at that point, you have a 50% chance rather than a 25 to really distinguish what is the best answer. And again, when in doubt, just guess it out, because you are not going to be hindered for any points lost necessarily. Everything is just going to add to your benefit and to your advantage, so might as well guess, right? So the correct answer for this would be B. Okay, and so first and foremost, another resource that you may utilize is to reference practice books and test. I'm actually curious, and you can put this in the chat if you'd like, but how many of you have a library card? Whether that be a physical card, an e-card. I definitely didn't at first, but was so glad when I did. And the reason why I ask is because you can utilize your local library, especially here where we're at the Burton Bar Central Library, to obtain certain materials that you could observe in the form of books. Now, I can say at least here that there is a little bit of a waiting list to get on to receive these books in order to read through, test your knowledge, but there's also some ebooks that may be of your comfort too that you can take a look at. So take practice tests in these books by filling in printed out bubble sheets as you move along and chug through the ACT and the SAT prep books. It's always a great way to, rather than digital visuals, to utilize something hard copy in your hand. I know I was someone that just could retain the information better by looking through a book, highlighting, making notes in there. So it's ultimately whatever works best for you. So also navigate through the ACT and the SAT tests that are online. Peterson's test and career prep is actually something that you will have access to if you have a library card. That's something we'll take a look at in just a second here, but that's a free resource that you have associated with the library. So I highly recommend it. It's right there at your fingertips. The last thing too is Quizlet is a great resource to create flashcards digitally, and you can build up your vocabulary and your knowledge that way by making practice questions yourself. Again, Quizlet is online, but if you also prefer hard copy flashcards too, then most certainly whatever is going to best accommodate to your learning experience, please do, but that's just another free resource that you have out there for you. So on the next slide, and I'm actually going to try to see if I can share my screen really quick here, because I want to walk you through our website and where you can find some of these resources that we've already discussed and more. So let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen. Okay. I won't be able to see you in the chat, but if somebody wouldn't mind just giving me a yes that you can see, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. So I'm sharing my whole screen. So here we are at College Depot. You can either find us at the website above, phoenixpubliclibrary.org/College Depot, or essentially just go to Google and you can type in College Depot and we should be one of the first websites to pop up. So here we are. Once you see our page and all these colorful boxes, you'll want to scroll down to where it says resources in purple. So we're going to go ahead and do that and scroll down just a little bit more to these additional resources. So we have it laid out for you. So here it is, preparation for the ACT, the PSAT, and the SAT. So these 3 links above will directly take you, and we'll see together real quick. This will directly take you to each of the websites, so that way you can look through some of their resources, whether that be test prep, whether that just be general information about when those test dates are if you've forgotten or need to register. So all of those 3 will be right there smack at the top for you. Below Khan Academy, a great free resource that we discussed is right here as well. Again, this is specifically for SAT, so feel free to click through, utilize that as well. It's a great resource. We talked through number 2. That is good for both the SAT and the ACT, so please feel free to click through that, utilize this website, utilize some of their college and career guides that you can freely download. Down here, you'll see all the resources, specifically, like we said, for question of the day, they have a word of the day that you can do. And they've also got some information about the test dates and registration and things like that. And more specifically, if you're looking to gear yourself towards a specific area of study, like math versus English, this is definitely a great resource to utilize free of cost too. So you can find that again on our website at College Depot. If you scroll down just a little bit more, some other things that we discussed, Peterson's Test and Career Prep is phenomenal. Again, you have to have your own library card, but I definitely think it's something worth obtaining. So you can access that here as well too. We also have a PDF of a handout if you want to distinguish again the SAT versus the ACT. By all means, please do. We also have test prep practice that's going to provide you with a variety of practice tests to help you become college bound. Test taking strategies, so a little refresher of what we're continuing to talk through this afternoon. And lastly, we have Varsity Tutors, which wasn't mentioned in the presentation, but is here on our site as well too. They offer variety as well with the same length practice test, flashcards. They also have visuals that present you with specific concepts, and again can focus on specific areas of work versus English for science. So again, this is all on our website, so please feel free to utilize this site anywhere and everywhere you can. It's right there at your fingertips, so it's a great resource. So let's go ahead and get back to our presentation, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Okay, perfect. Let's see here. Okay, so sorry, it just loaded for me. So I believe we're all seeing the study strategy slide. So let's walk through this together because there's quite a lot on the screen for you. So for one, take plenty of time to prepare for the test, as many of you may have already been, which is fantastic. And a lot of you within Phoenix U, I believe, are getting prepped to at least take the ACT in the next couple weeks here after spring break. So congratulations for one on even being here, because that's one of the biggest steps just to help you succeed and progress in your success, to even just be here listening to some of these tips, tricks, and strategies to help you prepare for the test. So one of the things certainly is that experts recommend studying at least 3 to 6 months before the test date. Now 6 months may be a large time frame if that's not super realistic for a lot of us, so I at least recommend 3 months for sure too. And if that wasn't as long as you had liked to or had spent on the test you're preparing for now. That's something to definitely keep in mind maybe later down the road to start now if you are wanting to take this test a second time, or maybe you're taking the ACT here in March, but you want to prepare to take the SAT later in the year in maybe the summertime or November. So that's something to definitely keep in mind to prepare yourself for success. It truly is a marathon, not a sprint. So I really can't emphasize that enough. Really allow yourself, the more the merrier, to really relax and ease your way into the studying. Second is to really make it a point for yourself to hold yourself accountable. Make a study schedule and maybe study for 1 to 2 hours per week. I mean, start off small, see what's realistic for you, and slowly increase your time from there. Another thing with that being said too is make your schedule formal. I mean, that being said, really hold yourself accountable to study. Maybe you are one to set an alarm or a reminder notification on your phone that's really going to alert you to ensure that you follow with your schedule, with your promise that you made to yourself. So let's say that was every Tuesday and Thursday you were going to study from 4 to 6 after school. So definitely spread your study time over the week, over several days, or even over months. Again, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and take it at ease, very slowly at first and see what's most beneficial and realistic for you. Okay. Second thing with that is to get comfortable with the test. It will really help decrease your stress level, just from personal experience too, if you are setting yourself up and exercising your knowledge through practice exams. Although these are most usually online, print them out so that way you get the feel for what it's truly going to be like in person on the pencil and paper for you. Now, it's recommended to at least take 2 practice exams, but I truly would aim for more, around 4 to 10, really 10, if you truly could, just to really see different perspectives of the test and to really even time yourself. With that being said, too, to really feel comfortable and confident for you to be able to move forward in your first exam. So another thing you can do as well is, even before you start studying, take a practice test first initially. Then from that point, keep that, move on through studying, and then assess that later on at either the last one before the test, or even based on your scoring too. I think you'll truly be surprised, and some of us don't really give ourselves enough credit for how much we progressed, but it's so cool to see the growth from your very first practice test all the way to the last one right before you take the real thing. So that's another test taking strategy and a practice example that I would truly encourage too. And to time yourself, this is really going to be the best way in knowing that you are following through, that you're meeting the allowed times. That being said, please know that usually the person proctoring the exam, that is in the room with you, will normally give you a heads up as when time is running out. So for example, you may get a 5-minute warning, so you can do something as similar like that for yourself too. Even going to YouTube and searching ACT or SAT timers to really kind of give yourself the feel for what that would be, definitely by all means. And again, you are able to bring a watch with you, and we'll talk through that in the next couple slides too. So that's another thing that you can utilize to your benefit as well. Really pace yourself, ensure that you're going at the speed that you were really hoping for, and that's going to keep you on track to succeed the best you can. Okay, and lastly is just really diversifying your study methods. So again, taking notes, if you're one to do that on a computer versus someone that likes to do that physically with pen and paper, make those flashcards, put together those study sheets, and keep your notes organized. If you're one that likes to color code things, like I certainly am, definitely do that for yourself and do what you know is best going to work for you. Maybe that's separating a different part of your home specifically for studying for either the ACT or the SAT, and really making that room your safe zone space to focus in and really study on these rigorous exams. And the other thing too, some people really work well well studying with others. So maybe you grab and create a group of study buddies to move forward in studying for either the ACT or the SAT. Because the other thing with that too is, for one, it's definitely going to hold each other accountable, which is always a great thing. And for two, every person, every student has a different expertise. You may personally have a better understanding of math concepts, and your friend may feel a little bit more comfortable speaking to reading or English questions. So definitely hearing and learning from different perspectives to really help you out, I think, is always a beneficial thing. So use that to your advantage for sure. Okay. And next, even thinking about the night before and the morning of. So please note, the brain cannot easily remember new information, and that's okay. So by that, I mean, just try not to cram so much new material right before you're about to take the test, right before your big day, so definitely stray away from taking new quizzes or new practice tests. That's why you've definitely had all that time beforehand to develop your way and to slowly space out the studying. So definitely don't try to cram any newer information. If you so be, only review the information if you really have an inkling to study something or to really test your knowledge one more time. Definitely study something that you really feel comfortable with, that you've already reviewed. So that's just another tip as well, the night before and the morning of. Definitely energize yourself before the test. By that being said, definitely aim to get such a good sleep. 7 to 9 hours is always the time frame to aim. And also, on the other hand, don't overly stress about really needing to hit 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's definitely recommended, but we're just aiming to shoot for success. Additionally, too, eat a good breakfast. As silly as I thought that sounded once, because I certainly did not prefer to eat breakfast at all. It was just super early for me, but I certainly knew the side effects of that and what difference it makes to really have a good balanced protein breakfast. It truly can make a difference. So definitely keep that in mind as you are preparing to take your exam the morning of. And lastly, for that is just to listen to music to really wake you up, to really get you going for the day on a good note, on a high note. And even if you have to, if you're someone that likes to read through things, read through something that's just so simple and puts you at ease, like a magazine or newspaper. Maybe you're someone that likes to listen to podcasts, so something really soothing that will just only help you on your way to success the day of. Being prepared really the night before, I can't stress that enough, to get your materials ready, just because you never know what's going to happen the day of. So include new batteries for your calculator, of course, you never know. And please note that you will need number 2 pencils, which I know are not really utilized. And myself, I don't really utilize number 2 pencils anymore nowadays, but they don't allow students to utilize mechanical pencils. So I only say that just because I want you to set yourself up for success and really bring a couple, maybe a few sharpened pencils just to prepare for that. And no pens, of course. Has to be number 2 pencils. You'll also want to ensure, whether or not it's the ACT or the SAT, that you're bringing a photo ID, and it has to be a valid one. So you can bring a school ID, maybe you have, state permit or driver's license. Please bring that with you, so that way they can validate who you are taking the test. So water and snack, because as we discussed, they're very long tests, and based on the 2 hour and 55-minute test versus the 3 hour, that actually doesn't account for breaks. So usually you'll have about 15 minutes of a break for each test to snack on something, to get up and walk around, stretch, because that's super important. So bring yourself something. Again, protein is always a great source to bring with you, so you're definitely going to have a couple of those throughout your time taking the test. Still here with the COVID pandemic, you never know, the face mask may be optional, so when in doubt, just bring one out. It's always something to prepare for just in case. And as we discussed, you may bring a watch, absolutely. So that way you can pace yourself, know where you're at, how much longer you have. Of course, the proctors are definitely going to help you out and give you reminders and timing for when you have 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, etc. And usually there may be a clock within the classroom at the front too. But most comfortably, I know that myself included, I just wanted to have a watch on my own. But that being said, no smartwatches as well, because most of us, you may have, I know myself, I love using my Apple Watch. Some of you may have like a Fitbit, something that is a little more technologically advanced. I mean, they'll look at that more so as a mini computer, right? So you can access things like a calculator on that. So that would definitely not be appropriate to bring with you on the day of the exam. So just something of a digital watch, you're more than welcome to bring. Okay. And then if you have 1 month left, we're going to talk through some more of these things. For some reason, I may not be able to see the slide as you guys may be, but as I press through, there are quite a few different words that come about. So I'm just going to show them all on the screen and we'll talk through each of them. So for one, the fact that music really is an instrument, and to make them instrumental. So by that, I mean to stay away from music that is so easy and eager to have you sing to, right? So if you have a song that you just know you're going to sing along, that is just really a mental distraction. So definitely stray from that, but use music to your advantage in the way that you can find instrumental versions. So some examples that we list are down tempo. You can listen to even video game soundtracks. Those are definitely instrumental. Classical music as well too. I know I definitely liked that as well. Or even if you're one to search on YouTube, something you can type in is even like coffee shop playlist or study music. And usually there is a live playlist that you can listen to as you're studying. So that's always something. And again, if that doesn't work for you, by all means, please don't utilize it. It's just something that is one way to get in the habit of studying more efficiently and effectively. The second one we have is the Pomodoro technique. This was actually developed by someone utilizing an Italian method, and the reason it was developed Pomodoro is because of the way the increments in time work. So essentially, students will study for 25 minutes and give yourself a 5-minute break for yourself. So that being said, once you hit 4 of those 25 minute increments of studying, to allow yourself then a 15-minute break. So it's been said that it can increase scores as much as 20%. So it's just another way to utilize the technique, but to also give yourself just a brief break too. With our technological advancements today, and I know a lot of us do have smartphones or tablets that you like to utilize, there's apps for everything out there. So there's a few distraction apps that we wanted to list for you as well. One of them is BlockSite. This app will actually allow you to block specific apps and specific websites for a certain amount that you allocate that you'd like that site blocked for. Very, very similar to the other two presented below, Opal and Freedom. This allows you to create a schedule, even like screen time, for how long you want to be without those distractions, how long you want to be without the phone. It's easier to, if maybe you need to give that phone to someone else within the home. Maybe you need to give mom your phone for a couple hours just so you know and can hold yourself accountable to studying. Definitely, by all means, but those are just a few apps to utilize as well on your own if you would like to download too. Let's see. Oh, I think we lost the
I'm
slide.
sorry, the slide is not showing.
Oh, no
Oh,
worries.
make it show. Hold on. It's loading. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Take your time. I think we're getting close to the end, so Definitely bear with us. I think we only had about maybe 3 more left, but we're almost there, I promise.
Can you guys see the slide?
Let's see.
It's only showing the title for me.
Um,
Like I can see all of it on my computer, but I can only see the title on the sharing.
okay, no worries. It looks like
Can
saying
you try
no,
to
so
share your screen?
yeah, I can try to share mine. Let me
Or
see.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
Okay, thank you.
It's gonna take me a second. Sorry, I'm
Oh, no,
rushing.
you're
If you want to keep covering the content, and then I will pull that up so that we can move forward.
that works.
I apologize.
No problem. We've already discussed a lot of the nitty-gritty, the essential information. So this is more of the fun stuff as far as the tips and tricks and strategies and to help you feel more comfortable and confident taking the test. So whenever you pull that up, let us know. But we were just talking through distraction apps, so I think we pretty much covered that. Another technique that you can reference once it comes on the screen is what's called the Seinfeld technique. So I don't know if you're familiar. He was a comedian, and Jerry Seinfeld what he would do is he have a calendar in front of him to really hold himself accountable and make it a point that he was going to exercise his talent and study habits to create a joke or some type of comedic line every day. So each day he had done that. That was something that he was able to make a big old red X on the calendar. And that's just something that had made him feel so good. And again, you're more motivated and disciplined to just continue moving forward and to exercise that practice. So I think the chain of those X's really builds a steady habit for you. And actually, another thing too, as well, what was even motivating for me is to put sticky notes within your room. So I know that even with some people that utilize the 75 hard exercise challenge, this can totally apply for something like your study habits. Thanks, Chris. This is the right one. You can go back. Oh,
It's
you can go.
actually Alicia. She got it.
Oh, sorry, right there, right there. So we're on the Seinfeld technique. So rather than if you're not one to physically draw an X through your calendar to maybe motivate you, maybe let's say you have 30 days left until your ACT comes about. So maybe you're one to grab some blue, some pink, make it fun, color code it, some sticky notes, and write the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 30. And every day, just take one of those sticky notes off. So that way, it just is something of a motivational habit, and that makes you feel good and at ease, more comfortable to go through with your habits, to hold yourself accountable to study. Um, and always some light exercise. It's been proven to help with studying retention, learning the information, just being able to recall all the information better because, again, it's such a rigorous exam. It's going to cover so many different components. So even some light exercise, some yoga is always so nice to follow along on YouTube or a video that you have, just doing some self stretches, or if you're one to go out for a run, just to clear your mind, definitely just doing some lighter exercise to jog it out is always just a great opportunity too. As well as a change of scenery. So like we talked about, maybe one of your study habits being to make a specific area or specific place within your home to really focus in on the entrance exams only. It's always so good to have a change of scenery too, whether that do still be somewhere within the home if you go outside, but of course to avoid like comfier chairs or avoid sitting in your bed because you're more prone to probably fall asleep or lose interest. I get it. It could be a little bit repetitive. It can be a little stressing, boring sometimes. So to give yourself that different feel of environment, whether that be from one room to the next, but that's always just another test taking strategy and studying strategy to have on hand too. Okay, and now we get to the slide if you have 1 day left. So Alicia, you can just keep pressing through these and I'll just talk through each of them as well. So one of them, if you have one day left, so the day before, like I said, if you can see the trend, it's all about easing your way. It's about making you feel super comfortable. It's been proven that watching cuter videos, something super simple, like I know the sneezing baby panda video is so cute. It's been around for such a long time, right? As silly as that may sound, I mean, it really does put your mind at ease. So even something very similar to something that you enjoy watching or listening to, like a podcast, really just to focus on your breathing, your mindset, put yourself in a place of ease and rest, just to really know you worked so hard all the way up to this point to study so rigorously that now you've got it. It's all in your mind. You know that you can do it. So give yourself that final day before to just really prepare for success in a more comfortable, easy way. Again, we talked about eating protein, eating a breakfast just in general, to really set yourself up that you are going to stay alert, awake, you're ready to go, you're feeling it the day of the test. So that's always something super nutritious to have on hand too. And again, even as a snack to bring, because you will certainly have times of breaks for you to get up, walk around, eat a little something. So that's always so helpful too. Make yourself a checklist the night before, like we talked about previously with that preparation list, to bring your SAT or ACT approved ID. Your admission ticket too. So you'll want to make sure that you have that printed out as well, ready to go when it comes time to the day of the test. Just because they're going to want to validate that it is you taking the test of who you say you are. So they want to ensure that it really is you going in to take the test too. And another thing as well, prepare yourself in knowing where the test is. For a lot of us, and maybe even here today, taking the test within Phoenix U, maybe the ACT is going to be taken at your school, or maybe, it's within your school that you're already most comfortable with, and that's great. But maybe for those of us, it's a new school, it's a new setting that we're going to take the exam for, quite a few hours. Prepare yourself the night before, knowing what the address is, how long it's going to take me to get there. So print that out, write that down. That's always something to have in hand, ready to go as well too. Have your clothes picked out. Again, number 2 pencils, no pens, no mechanical pencils, no colored pencils. It got to be the black number 2 pencils. Calculator. Now, if you have certain questions, you can always reference the SAT or the ACT websites to see what calculators are appropriate to use for the day of the exam and what calculators are prohibited. So they're very great about specifying the difference in calculators. So see if your calculator falls within that list, just to really ensure you're good to go. And again, if you get some extra batteries, you never know, that can always come in handy too. And additionally, with your watch, digital watch, and your snacks. And again, don't cram. You really know a lot more than you think, and that we give ourselves credit for. So this is really the time that you've taken to feel accomplished, really. You've taken X amount of months or days or weeks to study for the exam, and it's about to pay off. You're about to go into your day of the exam. You're all refreshed. You're ready to go. So just to really do yourself a favor and not to cram so many things in, the few days before. You need to be well rested, and you yourself need to feel confident going in there. So that's super important. It's all about mind and body connection. So can't stress that enough, to just sleep on it too. Allow yourself a certain amount of hours, maybe on average, instead of 7 and 9, let's say 8, right? So just a good night's sleep to really prepare, knowing that you're about to have such a great day and take such a big exam that you've spent so much time and effort studying for, and that, you're here to do it and pay off. So super exciting thing, and just to allow yourself the ease and the rest to really have a great day. That being said, just to get alarmed, you never know. I myself am one that is a little nervous the day before an exam or whatnot, or a first day at work. I set about 4 or 5 alarms. So if that works for you, that's actually something that's recommended, to at least set a couple, maybe a few alarms that go off maybe every 5 minutes or so, to really alert yourself to get up and at it. So again, just another tip to set yourself up for success. It's always great to have a backup alarm. So whether that be your phone or an external clock, but that's just something else to keep in mind. Okay, well, perfect. We have pretty much made it to the end, and we ended a little bit earlier than expected. So really quickly, I actually wanted to talk through some of the resources here that we have at College Depot. Specifically, what we have is a program called GRIT. And if you're wondering, what does that mean? It's right on the screen, and it's Graduating Ready, Independent, and Tenacious. And this is such a great program for participating high school juniors to register for as early as now. So what will happen is upon your registration, you will be contacted by a designated advisor. If you have someone specifically in mind that you would like to have as your advisor, that's something that you can definitely designate on the form, which I think Chris put in the chat for you guys, but the link is also on the top of the screen too. So you'll be in communication with your designated advisor, and from this point on all the way until your graduating senior year, so pretty much this time next year, you will be working one-on-one with your GRIT advisor to work through all of your college questions, aspirations, because there's so many different resources and college essentials and steps out there, but we don't want you to go through that alone. Whether you need help with financial aid, scholarships, writing essentials, college applications, I mean, you name it, we are certainly here to dedicate ourselves and support you. So I definitely wanted to highlight that, just because if you are a current high school junior, and this is something that you're interested in, please feel free to sign up and complete the interest form. We have appointments here in person at the Burton Bar Central Library. We're on the second floor for those of you that haven't visited us, or we can always do virtual appointments via Microsoft Teams like we are today, or even over the phone too. If it's easier at the comfort of your home, or if it's a little bit of a drive, or just if you're a busy bee, which I know a lot of you are with everything you have going on in high school right now, we are more than happy to accommodate to your schedule and meet very regularly, consistent, because we really want to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're feeling super supported and confident going into college, just as you are with your exams, right? So that's why we really wanted to have this test prep essentials workshop for you too. So again, feel free to reference the chat if you are interested. Myself, Alicia, we are a couple of advisors here with many other more friendly faces. So we'd love to see you and support you. And last but not least, we've got this slide. You can check us out on any of our social medias. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So feel free to give us a follow to know when some more of these workshops or other scholarship or just informational pieces in general will come up for you for your benefit. And again, that's our address. We are at the Burton Bar Central Library on the second floor. You can definitely see us by that picture showcased on the screen. We've got a neon light for College Depot, so definitely check us out. And our phone number is there too if you want to give us a call to schedule an appointment, whether that be GRIT or not. We are more than happy to help you through an appointment-based system Monday through Saturday. So that pretty much concludes our presentation. Let's see here. If anybody has any further questions, comments, you can either unmute yourself and we'd be happy to help you out, or if you feel more comfortable typing it in the chat, by all means, please do. I wasn't able to see the chat during the presentation, so I apologize, but we're here to help out now for those of you that have any. But if not, we'll let you go a minute early. So thank you for those that tuned in. But otherwise, myself, Alicia, will be here to answer any of the questions. But anything that you wanted to add, Alicia, before we wrap things up?
No, just if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. There also are a lot of schools that are test optional and don't see a test score as something that defines or impacts your academic ability. So don't be discouraged if you don't get the test score that you don't want. Try not to overthink. If you have testing anxiety, definitely try like some calming methods or breathing methods to try to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It looked like we had a question in the chat from Nico, just asking how can we get a copy of the slideshow today? And thanks for a great meeting. You're welcome. I recorded the session, so I'm hoping that I can get this sent to you within the next week or so. Just hoping that there was no technical issues that came into play today via the recording. But I'd be happy to get something sent to you within the next week or so. Absolutely. If you want to hang tight, I can ensure that I have your information too. Okay, well, like I said, we'll stay on for any other questions, but I know that some of you are saying bye and thank you, and we appreciate you for being here. And best of luck for those of you that are registered to take your test in the next couple weeks here. I know you're going to do wonderful.
So I do see the question if you should take both the ACT and the SAT. You can definitely do that if you like and compare whichever scores best and choose your best score to use for your college applications. It doesn't hurt you. You can also look at the differences of the tests and see which one's best for your needs. But I did take both, and I thought that I should take the ACT at first, but I actually did better on the SAT, so there's definitely no harm.
Definitely, yeah. And you can surprise yourself. Like I said, you know more than you probably give yourself credit for. So I don't think it would hurt to take either or. But if you want to talk or a little bit more in depth, just about maybe certain areas that you feel more comfortable taking, like maybe you're a better math student versus maybe you need a little bit more help on science, whatnot. I know another rule of thumb that I remember too. Think about the first letter in both the ACT and the SAT in reference to math, at least. The ACT has an A, so you can use your calculator for all of the sections if you are one that needs a little bit more help within the math questions, because it's going to focus a lot on certain geometry, trigonometry, algebra. It's really going to cover a lot of those bases, whereas the SAT, it's got an S, so at least in regards for math, you can use your calculator for some, not all, but for some of the questions. So if you feel like maybe you have a stronger understanding for that you can utilize without the calculator, then that may be something that best suits you too. Any other questions? These were great questions.
Hey, Dominic, we did have one question, and it looks like you left already, but somebody talking about drinking coffee during the test before or after. Do you have any recommendations or advice on coffee and test taking?
Alicia, you can maybe speak to this too. Everybody is different. I really say that not in a jokingly way, but like, I mean, I'm a very small person, and personally, if I were to have something like coffee, knowing that I'm in a timed exam, I don't feel like I'd have the opportunity to get up and leave so much to really sacrifice a score that maybe I was anticipating. It definitely, I mean, it helped, and it you know is different for everybody. If you're really used to having all that caffeine in your body already, then maybe for sure, if that is just in your normal routine. But if that's really something you haven't started yet, if that's something super new to you, I would probably stray from doing that, just because you don't know how you're going to react. Like, your body's going to react to that. If that's going to, I mean, that could get you super energized for sure, but maybe in more of a negative stance, it can make you super jittery to the point where you're just feeling so sick and whatnot for the day of the exam. So you are one that knows, I don't know if he or she is here still, but you know yourself better than anybody else. So if it's something that you've had incorporated into your routine, then definitely sure. But it's like a new time thing for you and you're taking the SAT or the ACT to find that out, then maybe utilize something else.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. For me, coffee actually makes me more tired, so I would definitely not take coffee before a test. But if you take coffee every day and it helps you in your daily routine, then sure.
Yeah, and they even have little like energy bars or even like something that you can just like eat rather than drinking. Maybe that would react better, but still give you enough energy to make it through the 3 hours as well too. So definitely. I think we see a question. Sorry.
Yeah. I ask how could I use this to my full advantage to study for the ACT during their spring break? I would definitely say to use the resources that we provided today. Take practice tests, especially, and time yourself. And that's probably the best way that you could study for the test.
And again, I know we are within a time crunch, and we only have about a week before you take it. So as much as you really may want to cram everything, please, just really know yourself and space it out as best as you can, just because it's a lot of information to truly cram, and I don't want you to feel super overwhelmed, because, you've already been studying for X amount of time already. And with a week left, it's not really worth it to really overthink, and cram certain things that maybe you haven't studied quite yet. But also, I know it's your spring break too, so definitely utilize some of those strategies and tips to really just digest, decompress, just knowing that this time is for you. This is just your last kind of way to maybe just get some more food for thought in, to remember what it was that you had already studied for so long, and just go into it with that ease of a mindset rather than just really stressing yourself out a week before. So look at it of the glass halfway full, knowing that you've already done so much, you're almost there, it's a big day, you're really going to showcase what you've got and what you've been really preparing for. So don't take that week to really cram and stress yourself out. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I would add to also use time frames, maybe like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day. Don't try spending all day just studying or taking practice tests because that might overwhelm you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. The visuals are always so nice just because the actual exam itself is going to be on paper. So if you are somebody that likes to watch something and retain the information, Khan Academy is great and it's free. But that also depends on which test you're taking. And I think you said the ACT. So scratch Khan Academy and probably just focus on either ACT specifically, their website for the visuals and webinars there, or maybe number two. Their website has some good visuals. Okay, well, you're welcome. It's on the chat. Any other questions that anybody has that you want to unmute yourself or put in the chat? We'd be happy to help. Okay. You're welcome. Let's see. What are some good test prep books? So again, like we discussed briefly, I think it depends. Are you looking for free resources versus ones that you actually will have to pay a little bit of a dime for? Just because a lot of the prep books do cost a price. But like we said too, the library, if you have a library card or an e-card, there's definitely other books or reading resources that you can utilize to help you and to benefit you for taking the test. Putting yourself on a wait list just to receive some of those books to rent through and to read is always something great to do with the library card. Or like I said too, which is a little bit harder to find, but you may be able to purchase maybe an already used copy of a book that someone previously had. Again, they may have different markings in the book, like highlight and pencils, and the year may be slightly different than the one that we're in now. But that's also maybe more of like a cost-effective way as far as like a book that you're looking for.
If it helps, I used the official ACT prep guide, and that one helped me a lot.
Well, good question. You're welcome. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a question. What are free resources on essay writing? And I'm sorry we didn't really cover that today. And really quickly too, Margarita, the only one of the tests, and it depends which one that your student will be taking, whether that is the ACT versus the SAT, just because that the SAT discontinued the essay portion, so that's no longer an option. But if he's taking the ACT, then that does have an essay component that is optional. That being said, I mean, just speaking to us here at College Depot, our website for one, kind of where we showcase where to find the SAT and the ACT resources. There's also a plus sign that you can find writing essentials that we can help you with too. Otherwise, we'll frequently have workshops just like this one, where we can help with writing specifics. If there's something, if you're referencing more of like an essay, or if it's not related to this test, maybe it's like personal statement or resume or things like that, we can definitely help within our workshops or with a one-on-one advising appointment. We definitely have advisors here that can help really help prepare or have another set of eyes on an essay that was already formulated, or help with a basis of a structure for that. So I can just speak to our website at least for a starting point for where you can find some of those. Anything else you have to add, Alicia?
Not specific to that question. I do see that there's another question in the chat. How hard is the English ACT test? Like the level of it? I heard my friend told me it's hard for people who already speak English, and I just learned English 1 year ago. I am nervous about it. Personal preference, the English ACT wasn't too bad. The hardest questions were like the comma ones and like the commands. So I would suggest to like study that if you're not too sure what like the comma rules. And like Dominique said, you probably know more than you think you do. So definitely don't be nervous about it and give it your best, and you'll probably do great.
If it helps to, I can take your information. I mean, I can certainly try to chat and provide you with a few other resources if you'd like. Only because, and I think you mentioned the ACT, right? Yeah, the English ACT. Okay, so as far as a content breakdown, just for your knowledge, there's going to be two main components. One is going to be a usage and mechanics of about 40 questions, which Alicia was kind of saying. It's going to focus on like punctuation, grammar usage, sentence structure. The other part of the English is going to be rhetorical skills, which is going to be a little bit less. It's 35 questions, and that's going to focus on like strategy, organization, and style of certain passages that you'll read. Again, they're all multiple choice, so you can definitely use your process of elimination or whatever strategy works best for you to distinguish maybe right and wrong answers to help you out. But in total, I think it was about 75 questions as far as English, but I hope that helps with a little bit of insight as far as like maybe what would be covered or how many questions there would be. The English portion is the largest of the four. So if you have any more specific questions or need further support, feel free to let us know and we can try to help as best as we can.
I also put in the chat the link to the number 2 ACT resources. They have a lot of different reading and English components, like the word of the day and different resources that you can use tailored to the English ACT. So I would definitely recommend to use that website.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That was a very helpful website, at least for us. So definitely feel free. And it's free, so why not? I mean, it's definitely a free site, so might as well take advantage of it. So yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, yes, okay, perfect. Please send me a free, okay, absolutely, perfect. That sounds good. I'll definitely, I have your contact information, so I'll be able to send you that, I think. Let me see. Or if you can stay by a little bit longer, we can try to obtain that from you or double check, so that way we can keep you on the alert for some of those things. Okay, anybody else? I know we still have a few people, and again, I'll emphasize just how great the GRIT program is, just in case, because myself, Alicia, we're also advisors dedicated to help you with your studies, and it starts as early as now. So again, let us know if you want the link, if you're super interested in signing up. That's something that we would be more than ecstatic to help you with in your journey to college. So it's not a question, but a statement. Okay, well, I think we're pretty much closing up. I keep seeing people leave. So I guess have a good rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate you being here.